Welcome everybody to Sin City Living. My name is Jason and I'll be bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. We have a ton of content for you guys coming out every single week, every single day generally. Occasionally miss a day like I did during the rodeo that is still ongoing right now. And I hope all of our patrons out there are appreciating the patron-only exclusive videos we're putting out with the dice class, putting one out every couple of weeks. And if you're curious about that, go ahead and check the description down below. Once I get this whole live stream thing figured out, I'm probably going to do a live stream on the patron site as well. One on the regular site, one on the patron site. I do have the new computer for it. Theoretically, I have everything ready. I'm just so busy currently with this rodeo. And one of our fans asked a question a little while back about ways to tip us, to show appreciation to us without having to sign up as one of our patrons. And at the time we did not have any way of doing it, but I have managed now to get us signed up with a site called Buy Me a Coffee. As I'm sure some of you guys have noticed from some of our videos, Louie and I are both pretty heavy coffee drinkers. So if you're curious about that as well, go ahead and check down below in the description as well. We would definitely appreciate any cups of coffee you're willing to pick up for us. And don't forget to email us with any strategies, questions, suggestions, anything at all. We love shooting those videos for you guys. I actually haven't gotten a new email in about 2 weeks. And also, don't forget, anybody that may be interested in one of the small Sin City Living neons that we have, just email us that as well, sincitylivingLV@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm going to go and get into today's episode. So what are we going to go over today? Today I want to go over some of the common mistakes I see players making that cost them money when they're playing dice. Now, I'm not going to go over ones that are more philosophical, such as not pressing and things along those lines, because that's just a matter of taste, a matter of personal choice. Instead, just want to go over some of what I see that when we see these things as dealers, we see players do this. Oftentimes we'll try and advise the players, but some players are very, very anti-dealer. They assume that the dealer is there to steal all their money. They don't seem to understand that we make our money when the players win. What the casino pays us is maybe a third of our actual income, if that. We make most of our income off of the players. So we want the players to win, or at the very least we don't want the players to just give up money, just give free money to the casino, because after all, what the casino makes is in our money. So we do try and advise players, but some players are very, very aggressive, I suppose, best word to use, towards the dealers, which then, of course, makes the dealers shut down. The dealers aren't interested in getting barked at, getting yelled at, getting cussed at. So we'll back off. But then some players are very, very receptive to it, especially when we ask them, why do you play this way? Hey, do you know about this? And I've seen that there's a lot of things that the players just don't know. There's a lot of things that we'll tell a player about. They're like, really? I didn't know that. So I want to cover some of those things because it costs the players money. It costs the players money fairly often. So one of the more common ones that I see is fairly basic. It's improper place bets. Now we've briefly discussed these in other videos, but let me use a great example. First, we have let's say the point is 10. So first we have let me just get 25 across. And the dealer will say, hey, drop me $2, we'll fix the 6 and 8, and we just get waved off. I'm like, okay, not a problem at all. It's up to the player how they want to play. However, here's the thing. What does $5 pay on the 6? Now, this is assuming you're on a $5 minimum bet table, because this obviously would not work on a $10 or $15 minimum table. But what does a $5 place bet on the 6 pay? It pays $5.84, which means that every time this wins, you are getting paid $5, and the casino is getting paid 84 cents off of your bet. Now, I've actually mentioned this in the past to players, and it's only happened a couple times, but once or twice I've actually had someone just laugh and roll their eyes and go, 84 cents. Like, acting like 84 cents is just some kind of joke. And I get it. It's really not a whole lot of money. Although, if a player is playing on a $5 minimum bet table and doing the absolute bare minimum bet, you would think that 84 cents might actually be something they would want to keep a hold of. But it's not so much the 84 cents that matters, it's the amount that you play. How often do 6 and 8s hit? Well, 10 out of 36 rolls of the dice. So we're probably looking at, I would say in an average hour, if someone plays for the entire hour and does this particular bet every single time, I would say we're probably looking at 15 to 20 hits on the 6 and 8, at the very minimum 10. Bare minimum 10 hits on a 6 or 8 where they get paid $5 in an hour. Bare minimum. I would say it's much closer to 20. But we'll look at 10. So what is 10? 10 is $8.40. $8.40 that they gave up in 1 hour. 1 hour of play. Play for 5 hours, you're looking at a minimum of $40. You're probably looking at closer to $80 to $100 that you gave to the casino, which for a lot of players that are playing at this level is probably greater than their buy-in. A lot of players that are playing at this level bought in for $20, $40, $60, something along those lines. So this is one of the first spots that I see that costs the player money. And they're giving that money to the casino, which is kind of a weird thing. And it certainly scales up. Here's another very common one. $25. $25. What does this pay? This pays $29.84. I'm sorry, not $29.84. It pays $29.16. Pays $29.16. 16 cents is nothing. I'll admit that it's really not a whole lot, except when you go back into the over the course of an hour. Now we're looking at $1.60 to $3.20, and now we go in the course of 5 hours of play, and we're starting to look at a whole nother bet. We see a whole separate bet, whole nother bet, all because the player didn't want to either go $1 less, make it 24, which pays $1 less, but they're not giving any change to the casino, or to go $5 higher. Either one. You want to be proper, guys. When you're improper on your place bets, you're giving up money. It's a small amount of money, but trust me, this adds up very fast. I would love for some casino to do to run their cameras through and do some kind of check on the calculation on how much the casino makes just based off of improper bets. It's got to be quite a bit. Another one that is not on this layout, and it isn't on every layout. I wouldn't even say it's on most layouts, but it's on a decent number of dice layouts. There's a bet, typically right here, that's split into two, and it's called the Big Six, Big Eight. We have a lot of players ask about it. What's the Big Six, Big Eight? And the dealer will invariably tell them it's a bad bet. That's our answer. What's the Big Six? That's a bad bet. What's the Big Eight? It's a bad bet. And the reason for that is because it pays even money. So now if you're just going to bet the 5, if you're just going to bet an improper 8, then you might as well just do a Big 8. But I've seen people do 10, 15, 25, $30 on a Big 8 or a Big 6. Well, what does it pay? Well, let's see. You put $30 on a Big 8 and in 8 rolls, you made $30. The Big 6, Big 8 pays even money. Why would you not place it and make extra money? You can play $30 on a Big 8 and make $30, or you can play $30 on a Place the 8 and make $35. It just makes no sense not to do it. A common joke with the Big 6 and Big 8 is that it needs to have a dealer envy. If someone bets a $30 Big 8 and it gets paid, they should get paid $30 and the dealer should get paid $5. I mean, it's just a joke. Nobody really seriously believes that, but it's just kind of indicative of how bad the bet is. It's not a good idea to bet something that pays even money when there's the same bet on the table and the same number that has the same win-loss conditions that doesn't pay you even money, it pays you extra. It just makes more sense. So another common one that I see is a player that has just recently learned to play the don'ts, and the don'ts are not a horrible bet any more than the pass line is a horrible bet. They basically have almost the same odds. It is not playing with the house. That makes absolutely no sense. If there was a bet that was playing with the house, it wouldn't be on this table. Believe me, there is a house edge built into the don't pass. If it was playing with the house or betting with the house, then it would be a can't lose because the house has the edge always. So there's a house edge built into the don't pass. But one common thing I'll see someone bet a don't pass. Maybe they just recently learned how to bet the don't pass. They saw somebody doing it. They asked them about it, especially on a cold table, and they started playing it. Or maybe the dice have turned cold. They got a little curious. They asked about it, and they started playing it. So they bet the don't pass, and then say an 8 rolls, and they think, well, I don't want to play the 8. The 8 has an okay chance of coming. The odds are still better for the 7 to come than the 8, but a lot of people will not bet the 6 and 8 on a don't, such as on a don't come. They'll no action it. So the player decides, the 8 has a really good chance of rolling. So what they decide to do is they place the point on the line for $10. But basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to even out their bet. They're trying to make it so they don't win or lose. What amazes me about this is if an 8 rolls right here, they make $1. If the 7 rolls, they make nothing, but they don't lose anything either. So, it's kind of a wash. But if you just want to even it up, just take your don't pass back. You're allowed to do that. Take your don't pass back. Now, you can't put it back down once you do, but if you don't like the point that it's on, instead of placing it, take your don't pass back. And if you do want to place it, if you decide that, because some players will do this and then go, well, I really like the odds of the 8 rolling, so I'm going to go ahead and bet. I'm going to go ahead and place it for $30. Well, why would you not just take your don't pass back? It just doesn't make sense. They'll say, oh, well, I'm hedging it slightly. Well, if you want to hedge it slightly, then take your don't pass back and just do an $18 pass line bet. I mean, it just makes no sense to do both the don't pass and the pass line bet. Just take your don't pass back. You're allowed to do that. It's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Now, the final thing that I see fairly common within this side of the table, at least, comes with the come bets. We actually just had this pop up last night. She's a super, super, super friendly player. Really nice lady, really nice girl. And I was hoping I'd have an opportunity to explain this to her, but unfortunately it didn't come up. But I overheard her telling one of the other players that she likes the come bets because she thinks they have better odds than the place bets. And I don't know if you've seen our other videos about place bets or come bets versus place bets and where the odds start to actually favor the come bets, but it comes up around the 10 times odds. So if you're not betting max odds and you're at a 10 or 20 times place, it doesn't make sense to do the come bets. It does not benefit you. You actually will make less money than if you were to place the point. And she always did $10 odds regardless of what the point is. So if it went to the 9, she'd do $10 odds. Now, if that hits, she makes $25. But here's the thing. If someone places it for $20, they make $28. They make extra money. Make three extra bucks. It's not a whole lot. And some people will say, well, that come bet is a hedge against the 7 rolling. That extra $10 is a hedge against the 7 rolling. If that's what you believe, then by all means go for it. You'd be really better off just betting an any 7. You could do a $3 three-way 7 and then place it for $20, and your win-loss would be the same, except that unlike a come bet, the place bet will stay there. Now, if you're going to bet max odds, if you're on a 3, 4, 5 table, it does still make more sense to do a place bet. If you are on a 10 times or 20 times, then it does make more sense to do a come bet. The odds are better, but you have to be betting max odds. Otherwise, it makes more sense to do a place bet. The odds are better. The payoff is better. And why is that? Because of this right here. This right here, this piece that travels in gets paid even money. Whereas if you do a $10 place bet, it does not get paid even money. It's getting paid extra as a place bet does, just shy. Basically odds with a small house edge built in. As odds, this would pay 15. As a place bet, it pays 14. There's a small house edge built in there. So that's why you have to have enough odds to overcome the fact that you have an even money portion of your bet in order to make it play off better than a place bet. It takes a lot of odds to do that. Now, the last one I see where I see a lot of people losing money is within the center action, and it comes into being because they don't know what it is they're betting. Now, we've talked about this in the past, and we tell people, hey, pick a side, pick a direction, pick a plan, pick what you want to do. What's happened a lot with the center action, especially over the last 5-6 months, is I've seen a lot of people that have heard or seen bets in the center, thought they sounded cool, thought that it made them look like experts or made it look cool if they were betting in there all the time. And especially for some reason, people think they look cool if they late bet. As the dice are going out and the shooter's grabbing the dice, they think they look like an expert if right then they throw in a chip real fast and shout out a bet with whatever nickname or slang it is. $5 horn high yo, $10 C&E. And in reality, they don't actually look cool. They're disrupting the game, and at a certain point, they end up being no betted. And the reason for that, by the way, that dealers will no bet a late bet is not because we're trying to punish the player, we're trying to teach the player, because prior to that, we'll have given 2 or 3 warnings of get your bets earlier while the dice are in the middle. The reason that we will do the no bet is because once the dice have moved, the stick person is not allowed to take their eyes off the dice. By procedure, they should not set up any bets. Sometimes they will, yes, but for the most part, the dealer should not set up any bets. They should not take their eyes off those dice at all. Those dice are considered the most important thing on the table, even above any of the chips. It is the most valuable part of the table. So they do not ever take their eyes off the dice. So once the dice move, the dealer is no longer allowed to set up a bet inside the middle, inside the center action. Which means that to the cameras, it looks really, really suspicious when people throw money in. It's not set up anywhere, and then coincidentally, the roll of the dice happened to land on what they bet, and we are paying them. There have actually been dealers that have been arrested and players that have been arrested for colluding in exactly that manner. After the dice went out, they would throw in a chip and mumble. And then after the dice landed, the dealers would set the chip up on whatever landed and then pay the player. So that is the reason. It is a protection for the dealers. Protection for the dealers and a protection for the game that we do not like late bets, because that puts us all at risk. So we'll warn a player 2 or 3 times, and we'll stop, we'll pause with the dice in the middle and ask, are there any more bets? We'll ask the late better specifically, do you have any more bets? They say no, we move the dice. They throw a bet in, no bet. Sorry, we warned, we tried to teach you. We're not going to risk our jobs and our livelihoods for this. So, what kind of mistakes do I see within here? The not knowing the bets. I see players that will do, say, let me get a $10 horn high 12. Let me get a $5 horn high yo. Let me get a C&E, and let me get a $10 high low. I literally saw this last night. This exact thing. Literally saw this last night. And it was the player, I even asked the player, hey, what numbers are you betting? Do you know what numbers you're betting with those? And he actually said no. He had no idea what he was betting. He just thought he sounded like some kind of dice master. And what he was doing was he was actually betting the same numbers with almost every single bet that he had on the table. And in many ways, they paid the exact same. When he had if he did a $10 horn high 12 and a $5 horn high yo, what he actually had was he had a $12 horn bet, and then he had $2 extra on the 12 and $1 extra on the yo. That's all it was. You could spread that around and put those dollars around instead of setting them up directly on those horn bets. So he actually didn't know what he was betting. He didn't know which numbers had the most money on them. So he also did not know what they pay. And that is where it's really, really key. We always recommend to you guys that you know what your bets pay. And when you're doing this scatter shot, 4 different bets, all approaching the exact same numbers, all approaching them from different directions, it's very difficult for a player to have any clue what those pay. And it also makes it far more likely for the dealers to make a mistake. Yes, dealers make mistakes. I challenge any single person out there to tell me that they have never made mistakes at their job. Not once, because I guarantee it's happened. Every single person out there makes mistakes at their job. And especially when you have an extremely fast-paced job where you have to do mathematical calculations in fractions of a second. They're basic math, super easy math. But you have to do them in fractions of a second for 16 people while all 16 people are yelling at you and yelling numbers at you, which just breaks your chain of concentration. So if the dealers that do this stuff all day, every day have difficulty handling the 4 or 5 different bets, especially press this, press that, press this, press that out of the payouts, we have to calculate everything out and then subtract out what you're trying to press, so on and so forth. If we have trouble doing it, then the player definitely has trouble doing it. And I recommend that players always know exactly what they bet, what their bets pay out, so that they can question the payout if it's wrong. Dealers make mistakes. Dealers expect and encourage players to say, hey, is that right? I thought it paid this much. If you say, is that right? Well, what do you think it pays, sir? Because we're pretty sure that's right. And the player has absolutely no idea. Well, I'm sorry, we think it pays that much. Of course, the supervisor will double check. And as long as 2 or 3 of us get the same answer, I can pretty much guarantee we're right. But when a player says, I don't think that's right, I think I get paid this much, that will make us stop and think. If the player says, oh, I don't think that's right, and they have this scattershot bet and they have no idea what it pays, the dealer is going to go, no, sir, I guarantee you it's right. So it's very, very important to know what it pays. Every day, every shift, dealers make mistakes. It's going to happen. We encourage you guys to ask, hey, is that right? I thought it paid this much. Which is why we expect you guys to, if you're going to bet this scatter shot, definitely know what it pays. It only benefits you. You lose money. That is something I see all the time when I'm out as a player. As a player, I'm not going to correct dealers. I'm not going to correct players or correct dealers and correct the box. So when I'm out playing, I see it all the time. I see players get mispaid all the time because the player has no idea what their bet pays. They just pick it up. They pick it up and they've lost money. And it's very prevalent out on the strip where they don't have boxmen anymore. Well, they'll have one supervisor that is in charge of, say, 4 or 5 dice tables. They're having enough trouble just getting all the money counted and getting all the players' cards put in. They're not actually watching the games and watching the payouts. So it's very important that you know what your bets pay. So I hope these common mistakes help you guys out. I hope you may have learned something from it. And definitely encourage you guys to learn as much about the game as possible. It's just going to make it easier for you to play and you're going to win more money. If nothing else, you're going to have a better time. As always, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons and we'll catch you next time. Bye. So, as I promised, I wanted to go over very briefly our upcoming attempts at a third test live stream. So what's happened so far? The first test live stream just flat didn't work. The problem that I had was was an equipment problem. I had an equipment problem in that the equipment that I was using to translate the camera into streamable video to the computer required a better USB port than the computer I was using at the time. So that one just flat failed because it would not translate into the computer. The computer would not pick it up, would not read it, so I wasn't able to live stream it. So then, as I was looking through, because I'm a little bit of a tech head, as I was looking through all of my other stuff, because I do have 4 laptops here and 3 computers, I did find one that actually did have the newer style USB port. Unfortunately, it was actually my oldest laptop, but I figured, what the heck, let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? And this time around, when I fired everything up, the video was actually translating onto the computer, so things were looking better. But then when I attempted to live stream, the computer was not powerful enough to be able to translate it and then upload it sufficiently. So it basically just uploaded a blank screen for the live stream. So what I am going to have to do is, and I'm already looking into all of my options, I'm going to upgrade my computer so I can add, a 7th, 8th computer to my household. And I'm going to go much, much higher, and I'm going to get a computer that is far more than I need for this, far, far, far more powerful than I need for this. That way, any future upgrades that I may do, the computer will be able to handle it. So unfortunately, this computer is going to cost me about 25% more, about 25% of what I've already laid out in all the equipment for this channel. So it wasn't something I could just instantly buy. I'm probably looking at Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So hopefully I have it within the next couple of weeks, and then I'll do another test live stream and see if I can go from there. So I will definitely do at least one weekly live stream on our Patreon because they're the ones that are really helping us get this computer. and the other equipment that I'm going to get, because I figure if I'm buying the computer, I might as well buy the most high-end capture cards and things along those lines, get everything as good as possible, and then hopefully eventually get a better microphone for you guys. So yeah, that's where we stand on the live stream. As soon as I have the computer and I do the test, which will be in a few weeks, like I said, got to order it in a week or two, then I have to wait for it to ship. Plus, we have probably the biggest event of the year coming up, the NFR National Finals Rodeo. So I'm basically working 2 weeks straight, as is my wife. So not going to have a whole lot of time. But once we get all that under control, then we'll figure out. There's been some schedule changes to myself, some schedule changes to my wife, and some upcoming schedule changes to my wife as well. So hopefully we can get all the scheduling figured out, so I know when I'll be able to live stream as well. My initial plan of Thursdays at 6 o'clock is already out the window. I'm at work at that point now. So we will get it all figured out, and we will let you guys know, I promise. And otherwise, I hope you guys have found this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, or at least just plain fun. And we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.